Hi, my name is Mandy Mayer, and this is my presentation on cultural responsive instructional and behavioral support practices. First, we're going to look at what cultural responsive instruction is. Cultural responsive instruction is a student-centered approach to teaching in which students' unique cultural strengths are identified and nurtured to promote student achievement and a sense of well-being about the student's cultural place in the world. Teachers that use cultural responsive instructions help to build brain power by helping students leverage and grow their own knowledge base. It's also validating and affirming because it legitimizes the youth culture and uses that culture to bridge a gap between the school and the home. And it helps students really understand and be proud of their culture and not ashamed. Cultural responsive teaching is using the student's cultural experiences in your daily instruction. It can include embracing the native language of the students and their families. You create a very welcoming classroom environment that all students feel welcome and represented. But it also communicates high expectations for everyone involved. Some of the ways that this can happen is by using multiple means of representation, multiple ways of action and expression, allowing the students those multiple ways, and also multiple ways of engagement, the way that the students engage with each other. Teachers who purposely incorporate the experience and cultural orientations of students from diverse racial, ethnic, and economic backgrounds into their teaching strategies are teachers that use cultural responsive instruction. So here's some of the instructional methods that are used. And these can be used by anyone in our district. It includes creating a classroom culture that is welcoming for all students. I know all of our teachers strive to do that. Provide student choice on assignments. So this might mean instead of every student doing the same thing, providing a project or multiple ways to show their learning. It's important to create lessons that connect the content to the students' culture and their daily lives. So first you have to know your students so that you can figure that out. Also presenting that content in multiple forms, videos, manipulatives, tactile, visual, auditory learners, understanding that those are all part of your classroom and finding ways to incorporate that into your lessons. It's super important to communicate and work with your parents and guardians on a regular basis, whether that's through newsletters or emails, videos, classroom softwares like Google Classroom or Seesaw. Just make sure that you communicate with parents. It's important that you use instructional materials that relate to a variety of cultures, even if you don't have those cultures within your classroom. I know that our district is it's not a very diverse district, so it's important that teachers incorporate those other cultures. Almost probably more important for teachers to incorporate all their cultures so that our students have the opportunity to learn about those other cultures within their lessons. It's important that students support each other for the success of their entire class. So again, a lot of working together and providing multiple question formats on assessments, multiple ways for students to represent their learning. These instructional methods benefit all students, but especially can benefit those students who are on the edges. Maybe they have a different race or socioeconomic background status. They might have some learning exceptionalities or things that they might need a little bit of help in. These especially help those students, but really all students benefit when teachers use these methods. Now we're going to look at behavior support practices and what that is. Behavior support practices is a framework that consists of a continuum of evidence-based practices and organizational system. It has an emphasis on data-driven decision-making, team-based problem-solving, and multi-tiered systems of support to help achieve academic and social success of all students. It's a school-wide prevention and intervention model that proactively improves school behavior issues. So you look at the whole school-wide and see how you can implement strategies, things that can proactively help you limit those behavior issues because you have a plan in place and it's school-wide, so everyone knows, everyone uses the same language, and that makes it more successful. Positive behavior support practices are positive and proactive in helping classroom behavior practices. They do this by maximizing structure, by explicitly teaching proactive classroom expectations. Expectations are key. You have to teach those. You have to go over those continually so that the students know the expectation. Actively engaging students in their learning, and then effectively responding to student behavior. Again, having that plan in place so that students know this is what my expectations are, this is what will happen if I fail to meet those expectations, and being consistent and in those expectations and responding to those expectations. Using it school-wide helps with that common language so the students knows the expectations throughout the entire school, no matter who they're with or within which classroom. This is important and is helpful to help prevent some of those behaviors. It's data-driven, which means that it's important that teachers record data and know so that we know what's being effective and what isn't, and what then needs to be changed. It happens continuously, so it's an ongoing process. It's not something that you can do at the beginning of school and then put it away for the rest of the year. It's a continual process where teachers and staff and administration continually look at the data and what is driving that and make changes accordingly. So now we're going to look at ways who's affected and how we can implement these two things in our district. It's important to know that educators must become introspective about their own culture, background, and unconscious biases. This is probably the first step. If teachers and educators, administration have biases, we need to understand that before we can become culture responsive in our instruction and truly implement these practices so that it benefits all of our students. Administration must articulate the vision that supports this, and then also needs to provide teacher training programs and then constantly develop that within our teachers. Again, this is not one of those things that we can just do one time, check it off at the beginning of the year, and then put it on a shelf and not ever think about it. This has to be something that is continuously developed, continuously looked at, and so all of us, administrators, teachers, finding ways that we can improve and get better at implementing these strategies, at creating those connections between our students and their culture, providing those behavior supports so that everyone can be successful. Again, all students benefit from this, and I would argue that all educators benefit from adding these things into their classroom as well. It creates a support system for the students and the teachers, especially when administration is on board and is providing those training and that support and helping clearly articulate that vision and helping everyone be on the same page. Here are my references. Thank you and have a great day.